Hello, my name is Daniel. I want to present to you transdermal magnesium and why glass is important. We only use glass at the Heart of Tradition because of the endocrine disruption and the leaching that comes from soft plastic, user-in plastics. There's been increasing amount of interest in the studies that have been done on endocrine disrupting chemicals and how they affect the body. What we're starting to understand is that the very low daily exposure does contribute not only to something in the body physically, fat or obesity and cancers. There's different types of studies on each of these elements, but also genetically, we don't need, it's almost like information. Endocrines is like an information system. And so you're giving these daily doses of a certain threshold of exposure. This daily exposure is creating a certain type of information for the body. So that information the body translates into its own genetic signals and what to activate, what to disactivate. Fertility comes to mind. But it's blocking natural receptors. It's blocking the natural way that the body functions, and even at small doses. So we totally swear away from all forms of plastic possible, and especially user-in soft plastics, because in the industry there is all sorts of things which are used in plastic, or there's different levels that cannot be avoided. But when you bring it down to the user end, plastics, that's where all the degradation, oxidation, sunlight, all those things are hitting the product, and on the shelf or even at your home, they're degrading, and all of those composites are falling into the product itself. And you're also tripling the surface area, quadrupling. I mean, you're quadrupling the effect by putting things in glass bottles. I mean, in plastic bottles. Like imagine all these olive oil companies were putting all their olive oil into like plastic bottles. They would be multiplying by 10 the amount of exposure to endocrine disruptors, especially if heat and oxidation come into play, which they do in the industry and then over time. So that's why it's even a rule that glass conserves better, because there is this type of degradation, there is a leakage. And so even the best products, even the BPA, no BPA, whatever. There's also BPS. There's new ones coming up every year. There's tons of different types of phthalates. And so do we really trust that whole system? Every 10 years they tell us that, oh, BPA was wrong. Oh, BPS was wrong. So we're trying not to trust in that philosophy and build something directly out of glass. A lot of people won't use glass because of the difficulty in shipping and breakage and all these things. Glass is also imperfect. So it's not always exactly, that you can't homogenize it perfectly. And so people just don't want to mess with it. And we've chosen to use glass only for health benefits. We mark no endocrine disruptors on our caps. And we let people know that we're trying to seek the highest quality medical grade possible, so that you can bring this transdermal magnesium into the body and therefore detoxify those same endocrine disruptors. Now that's the key. Whenever something is molecularly pure, this magnesium is molecularly pure and sticky. It has like a molecular stickiness, and this stickiness can be translated into a sort of chelative power. It's a way of chelating toxins. So this chelation won't happen if it's solvent extracted, if it's refined, it's been transformed, the molecule is kind of dirty, which means, most of the industry, a lot of magnesium we see on the market is coming from potassium derivative industries. So they've already, cut and pasted and tried to extract and use solvents to get the magnesium alone, and then they turn it into like a low-grade magnesium product, which can be turned into magnesium oil. So they do this in Asia, and this is where most of the magnesium oil, 90% of the market, is coming from, and then it's just remarketed. So we're using the actual original source from the original stone underneath Vendam in Holland with the natural purity, and that's created by nature, not by us. And so this allows for the body to pull out these endocrine disruptors and bring them out through the sweat glands. The more that you're working out, getting that stuff out, the less that these endocrine disruptors are staying inside. There's studies on the release of endocrine disruptors through transpiration. But don't worry, if you're not an athlete, it doesn't matter, because when you sleep at night, this transpiration is happening regardless. Through our breath, through the transpiration itself, there's a process of release of these same endocrine disruptors, which comes through everything from volatile to acid residues. They come out. And so you don't have to be a sports person, but it does help in certain cases to speed that up. So come check us out at theheartoftradition.com for the highest quality that you can find. Thanks.